Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Shout out to All Asian Dilemmas. Their content is hot. But is this the end of Japan? Japan is doing the opposite of what America is doing. But America is a much larger country than Japan. America's trying to rid of all the immigrants, while Japan is trying to recruit immigrants for economical purposes, for fertility purposes. America, they're not worried about fertility. They're worried about just the government and the funding in general, right? But let's take a look and see how Japan is cooked. Let's go.
Recently, a new policy in Japan has caused enormous controversy. On the eve of Indian Prime Minister Modi's visit to Japan, Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba not only announced the goal of accepting more than 50,000 Indian immigrants, but also stated that short-term exchanges between the two countries would rise to 500,000. Before that, Ishiba had delivered the opening speech at the summit of 50 African countries, announcing that Japan would invest $5.5 billion in new initiatives across the continent. He also created a special visa program for African immigrants moving to Japan. 4 Japanese cities were designated as homes for immigrants from Nigeria, Tanzania, Ghana, and Mozambique. According to Ishiba, the goal was simply to address Japan's labor shortage and revitalize rural areas suffering from population decline. For example, the city of Kizugawa was designated as a home for Nigerians willing to live and work in Japan, with a special visa category for talented and innovative young Nigerians.
And let's just be real. Most people are tired of the country they live in, so of course they're down to try something new, right? But it's like, with these people that come there, at some point go back to their own country at some point. Some people look at this as a lazy solution to get the fertility up, because like I said, Japan is a small country, so their population is aging quicker than most other countries that are actually large.
In addition to exemptions for low-skilled workers, other cities were chosen as well. Nagai in Yamagata for Tanzanians, Sanjo in Niigata for Ghanaians, and Kanji in Ehime for Mozambicans. Japan hopes to strengthen cooperation with these 4 African countries, increase the population of its cities, and boost regional development. Ishiba admitted that population aging brings major challenges and stated that Japan needs to better understand Africa. He asked African countries to help Japan tackle population decline and the shrinking of agricultural land. But what does this really mean? Bringing in Africans, Muslims, and Indians to have children with Japanese women? It's...
And of course, they compare it to a video game, but this is going to create more mixed children, no more pure Japanese people, right? Nobody's 100% anything, but will this solve anything?
Seems even Ubisoft was too visionary. Darth Vader wasn't wrong. Forecasts point out that by 2025, in 20 Japanese cities, foreigners will account for more than 10% of the population. There are also NGOs pressuring Japan to receive more refugees from the Middle East and Africa. Ishiba's cabinet policies don't stop there. In addition to expanding immigration, sending funds abroad, and offering social benefits to immigrants, they also plan to impose heavy taxes on the Japanese people. These measures have the support of mainstream media and so-called progressive liberals.
Wow, so they're going to make the cost of living higher for Japanese citizens. That's crazy. So they have to be the ones responsible to fund all this. Right on.
However, young Japanese are strongly opposed. The polarization is immense. Polls show that 68% of voters over 70 support Ishiba and 70% think he should not resign. Among voters under 30, however, 88% do not support him and 68% believe he should step down.
Wow, those are bad numbers. What the hell?
This reveals the interests behind such support. With fewer young people paying into pensions, there is less money left for retirees. So, the elderly support immigration to secure their pensions, caring little about the long-term consequences. Ishiba's justice minister even declared that, in the face of declining population and aging, it is essential to accept a large number of foreigners to build an orderly coexistence society and keep Japan vibrant and open.
Yeah, because if you think about it, these young people that aren't in the workforce like that, because it's harder for young people to get these jobs now, let alone to make a decent salary. About time these young people get about 40 or 45 in their career, their money's probably not going to be enough to support their aging parents and everything. So you have all these people that are going to be in almost poverty because they either never had a good job to begin with, and they're going to rely on their retirement and 401ks and all that to support their aging family, which they won't have because they haven't been working in the first place, because more and more people are staying at home now.
In the comments below the interview, criticism was heavy. Ordinary citizens bear the negative impacts of immigration, while the benefits go to businessmen, politicians, and liberal elites, exactly what has already happened in Europe.
Yeah, so what's going to happen is the locals won't be able to get these jobs that they're supposed to have to take care of themselves. So basically, this is going to force people to shack up and get married and all that. They're going to have to get married to these people that are going to get these jobs, which is the foreigner. So they're going to have to, yeah, this is all being forced. That's crazy, right?
France, the United Kingdom, and Germany show what happens. Opening the doors to African and South Asian immigration brought increased crime, loss of national cohesion, and irreversible cultural changes. The population replacement in London over the past decades is proof of that. The religion, culture, and identity of natives were eroded by the strong cohesion of Islam and tribalism. If even multicultural Europe suffered so much, imagine the impact on an ethnically homogeneous society like Japan's. The risks of conflict and fragmentation could be even greater. And all of this originates from the old problem of declining birth rates. In 2024, the number of births in Japan fell for the 9th consecutive year, the lowest since 1899. The fertility rate dropped to 1.2. Within 20 years, the average age of Japanese citizens will reach around 56.
Wow. So pretty much, if they wouldn't have did this immigration thing, most people in Japan will all be in their 50s and 60s. There'll be less young people because young people aren't having kids and starting families anymore. Everybody's about their career, being strong and independent. So what does that leave you with? An aging population. So the government is going to rely on immigration to get their stats up. But along with that, Japan is pretty much what we call a quote unquote safe country, but it's going to rise crime rates up because in other cultures, some people grew up off of crime. So they're going to go to another country and do those same crimes, which will boost up local crime rates. So this is both a bad idea and a good idea. The young people don't want it. The older people only want it because they're worried about going broke as they get in their 70s and 80s. This is Kai DeVale. I'll catch you in the next video. And I left the link down in the description box for those of you that aren't lazy and can read. And I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.